Hey guys, I'm Andrew, also known as Iron Android, and I love to talk about movies and TV shows way too much. With that being said, in today's video, I'm going to be ranking all 5 Stranger Things series from the worst to the best, and I would love to hear your guys' rankings in the comments down below. In 5th place, I have Season 2. I want to be perfectly clear that no season of Stranger Things is a bad season. I do actually think all the seasons of Stranger Things are 8s or higher. But the reason why season 2 for me is in last place is because I just feel like it's the most forgettable season in my opinion. Plus, on top of that, it has the worst episode of Stranger Things of all time, which is the Lost Sister episode. And I think everyone can agree with me on that. They leave us off on a cliffhanger, and then the next episode, they take 11 out of Hawkins away from the group, and it just doesn't make any sense. And then they don't go back to what was really going on until the episode after the Lost Sister episode. And it's just out of place, in my opinion. But I do love the Mind Flayer, and I do love the final episode where 11 is floating and she is closing the gate, and at the end, at the episode, it's a snowball dance, and nobody wants to dance with Dustin, so Nancy takes the role and dances with him. I think that is super good. Plus, on top of that, the Duffer Brothers give us the best duo in the entire show, which is Dustin and Steve, and their chemistry is just unmatched. Also, I want to be perfectly clear, Nancy cheated on Steve with Jonathan because that the fight that they had outside of the school was not a breakup. It is a fight, and I will die on my grave trying to get people to understand that. Also, I just want to say, R.I.P. Bob. He didn't deserve that the way he died, but I will say I rate this season a 8 out of 10. In 4th place, I have season 5. Season 5 is actually unreal. The stakes are higher than ever before. The characters have great chemistry, and each episode doesn't slow down. The first episode of the series is kind of slow, but as soon as the episode is over and the second one picks up, it is just all in and it doesn't slow down at all. And I think it's actually pretty good. The best episode of the series is episode 4, The Sorcerer, when everybody's in peril and Will locks in and takes over the hive mind and just kills all 3 Demogorgons at once. Also, the other best episode in the series is the finale, which is also a really good episode. It's a really good conclusion to the story, but there is some more unanswered questions than answered questions in this season. And I will say also the funniest character in season 5 is Delightful Derek. He was the highlight of season 5 for me because his one-liners are just funny, and that the fact that he was literally laughing when his entire family got knocked out was just pure comedy gold in my opinion. And in my opinion, this is the season where I like Mike the most. He actually feels like a leader and is actually leading the kids and guiding them to protect them. The most unpopular thing about this season is that everything just feels all over the place. Also, I did really like the unproposal scene where Jonathan and Nancy break up. That was super emotional. And also, I finally like how Max finally got out of the trance and coma of Vecna's mind, but immediately goes back in to help defeat Vecna. The only thing for me is Dustin and Steve's chemistry in this season. It just doesn't feel like Dustin and Steve to me at all. I didn't really trust number 8 at all either. Also, Mrs. Wheeler was literally protecting her daughter and fought off a Demogorgon with a freaking wine glass. Like, that was so super peak. But the one thing that really bothers me about the finale is no one died. Like, the finale, I think, is at least one main character should have bit the dust. Also, everybody has moved on from defeated Vecna, but Mike doesn't because he's just upset that 11 sacrificed herself to save everybody so they don't have to get captured by the military. But Hopper comes in and gives him a good pep talk. Also, Hopper and Joyce get engaged, which that is super sweet. But I just think the entire conclusion of season 5 was just good. So I rate it a 8.5 out of 10. And we're just about to reach our top 3. But before I go to my top 3, if you guys are enjoying this video and you're liking this video, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and turn on notifications. And without further ado, let's get back to the video. In third place, I have Season 3. Season 3, to me, is like the middle child of Stranger Things. It has great episodes, and the dynamic of the characters that we get introduced to is Robin and Steve's relationship. And I actually feel like that is also really top-notch. And this season has my favorite Dustin and Steve moment when Dustin comes back from his camp and he goes to Scoops Ahoy to see Steve, and Steve bursts out the door and says, "Henderson, he's back. You got the job. I got the job." That is my favorite scene in Stranger Things. I will say, though, that the reason why Season 3 isn't higher on my list is because I just couldn't really get past the Russian stuff and everything like that. I just don't really understand it and couldn't really get invested into it. My favorite episode of Season 3 is the finale because it has the fight in the mall and it has a good redemption to Billy's character where he stands up to the Mind Flayer and sacrifices himself for the kids, and it is the awesome thing that why I like Billy. And it also has a really cute moment where Susie Poo and Dusty Bun are singing the theme song to the Never Ending Story. And I just think it's so funny because they're doing that, but everybody else is like trying to survive for their lives and everything. And I just think that's super awesome. Also, Hopper supposedly sacrifices himself and blows up the science thing. And then later on, 11 reads his note, and it's very heartwarming and it really hits to the heart. And I like how he added a little joke where he's like, "Keep the door open 3 inches," and that just gut punched me really much. And it was also super emotional because the Byers family moved out of Hawkins and took 11 with them to make sure they have like a somewhat of a normal life. But I give the season overall a 9 out of 10. In the runner-up spot, I have Season 1. Season 1 is a phenomenal season, and honestly, if Stranger Things has ended after 1 season, I think it would still hold up to this day, because Season 1 is a near-perfect season. And the only thing that doesn't really make it perfect is the first and second episode are a little slow, and it takes time to get invested into the show. But by episode 3 onward, it is hit after hit after hit, and there's no slowing down. The kids find 11 in the woods after trying to look for Will after he gets taken. Nancy and Steve is a phenomenal couple. And hot take, I prefer Nancy and Steve over Nancy and Jonathan. I think I'm going to get murdered for that. But I also really like Joyce as a mother because she's worried about her kid, and props to her for knowing that something was wrong and weird, even though everybody told her that she was just crazy and everything like that. And I did think it was kind of messed up that the bullies were laughing at the assembly at Will's death, and good for Mike for standing up for himself and his friends and fighting back. I can't believe, though, that Hawkins was trying to cover up the fact that Will was abducted, and they put a fake body in the lake and everything to make it look like he died. I do like the finale episode, and I think the finale episode are a 10 out of 10s. I think every single finale episode in Stranger Things are 10 out of 10 because they're just that good. And I like the Demogorgon and Steve coming in and hitting him with the nail bat. I think all of that is great, and I love how 11 does a reverse E.T. Instead of making the kids fly, they just flip the truck. I think that is super awesome, and she does a great job at that. And some of the best character growth is in this season as well, I might add. But the only thing I don't like is how everybody is just focusing on Will's disappearance, but nobody focuses on Barb's disappearance. And that is kind of messed up to me. But other than that, I rate this season a 9.5 out of 10. In first place, I have Season 4. To me, this is the season that Stranger Things really peaked at. I think this is where the show really took off, and it has the best side character, which is Eddie. It also is probably the most iconic episode of the most iconic scene in the entire show, where Mass is floating and she's running out of the portal trying to escape Vecna to the song Running Up the Hill. I think Eddie was done very dirty from the first episode in the season, and he did not deserve anything that he got in the season. But he does make up for everything, even though he didn't really should be making it up, and he sacrificed himself, and it changed Dustin forever. I think everything worked in this season. I like how Mike went to California to visit Eleven and Will. Eleven got her powers back, and this show left us off on a big cliffhanger. Also, I like how Joyce and Murray went to Russia to save Hopper because she got a ransom note that told her that Hopper survived the blast back in season 3. And my favorite episode in this season is actually not the finale, but rather the episode Dear Billy. That is my favorite episode in season 4. And I really, really, really liked Lucas's and Max's relationship in this series and in the season. And even though they're not together, you can still tell that they really love each other. And I will say though, I don't really like how Lucas ditches his friends for the popular jocks just because he made the basketball team. That to me was very crappy on his part, but it's not enough to really bring the season down for me. My favorite character in the season is Dustin and Steve. I mean, come on, they are really the best characters in the entire show, and the chemistry that they have is unreal, and it really shines in the season. But other than that, I rate this season a phenomenal 10 out of 10. And with that being said, guys, I'm Andrew, also known as Iron Android. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single upload. Also, if you haven't already, subscribe to my gaming channel and follow my TikTok. Link will be in the description for both of these things. But with that being said, I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.